Hello everyone, and today we have a special guest joining all the way from Brooklyn. Please welcome Aleena Tayyab, all the way from Pakistan.
But hi everyone. You just said Brooklyn, Fazal.
You live in Brooklyn, but all the way from Pakistan. That there's an emphasis on that. Okay. But please introduce yourself. Give us a little background information about yourself. Where you study, what you do, what you're pursuing at UB.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Aleena. I study at UB with Fazal. We both, we're not classmates or badge mates, but we're in the same college and we go to the same school. So I am doing pre-med right now. I'm majoring in biomedical sciences.
Okay.
Right. And my main goal is to be a surgeon. Mm-hmm. So I'm working every day for that.
Great.
So it's definitely not an easy journey.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure not. After the way you introduce, people might feel अब तो college में दो ही लोग हैं, एक Aleena and दूसरा Fazal. ठीक है. But I just want to tell this to the audience before we started the recording or before we started the episode. We had a very jolly time together. Three of us, we just kept laughing non-stop. So so that's a disclaimer of this episode. If we keep laughing, you know why. But
if Abhinav keeps laughing, then you know why.
Yeah, that's chalo. Let's move on. But how is the environment growing up in America? As a Pakistani, as a minority community, there's definitely some type of I don't know if I could say cultural shock, but there could be multiple levels of shock that you might have gone through, or maybe an advantage that you might have gone through because you have brought up there. So you knew how to grow up with the community rather than people coming after 10, 15, 20 years to pursue their education. They might have a different shock. But for you, it could be something, a different scenario completely,
Yeah, definitely. You're right about that. So I'm going to start saying when I came here, I was in the starting of my teenage years. Okay? Like 14. I was 14, 15, something like that. Okay? And that was the start of high school for me. And I literally did not know anything about what it's like, the education system and everything. Because Pakistan, it's very, very different. Here, it's very different. Like the whole education system, we follow UK more, and USA has a very different system of credits and all of that. We don't have that. We have boards and stuff like that.
Correct. Similar to the
It was obviously very different, and I had to go to my counselors, and I really, really worked hard in high school because I was I have to bag a good college. And just the pressure of an elder brown child was always on top of my head, always. So ye to hamesha se tha. But I would say, as far as racism or anything like that is concerned, I never experienced anything like that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Obviously it does. There's xenophobia, racism, Islamophobia, all of that. I wouldn't say that doesn't exist. But I feel because of my physical appearance, maybe I can pass as many different ethnicities. People don't really know what I am unless they ask me or talk to me or specifically ask me where I'm from. So that's something. So that's something that never happened to me when I came here.
So basically, appearance. There's a lot of consideration is on the appearance, the way you look. There's a lot of judgment is based on the appearance. You're saying.
No, not. I'm just saying that unko pata nahi chalta कि if I'm a Pakistani, so I never experienced anything racist or anything like that,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can easily pass as an American, so they don't really know what I am. But as far as white supremacy is concerned, then I'm not denying that it must happen to people, and it is happening to people all over the world. But never happened to me because I feel like you can't really tell by my appearance what I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think to sum it up, basically you're saying you can pass off as a Caucasian person coming from a European country, or I think there's no
maybe Middle Eastern, anything. People literally thought I was Spanish. Some thought I was Ukrainian, different ethnicities. I hear that all the time. So nobody can really tell what I am. So it's before being racist or something like that, they don't say anything.
Do you think it's a good thing though? I know it has helped you in multiple directions, but is it ultimately a good thing that people can't tell you where you're from or who you are?
It might be, but I'm not ashamed to say where I'm from, honestly.
Right. Yeah. for sure you shouldn't be. But
Yeah.
but
There's
Acha, but okay. Tell me something. So now you grew up, you came to US when you were 14, 15 years old, right? So somewhere in the teenage years. And you definitely, now you're in the college. So you've definitely met people who come from Pakistan, like who straight up come from Pakistan just to pursue education. Like how as an Indian I came from.
Yeah.
Huh. So what is the difference you've noticed? Ki, Are, if these people would have had this extra thing, maybe they could have fit in well with the American community or just in general
Honestly,
with any community.
no, I feel like people coming from Pakistan, they don't try to fit in as
They're
compared to people who were brought up here.
Uh-huh.
That's one thing that I've
okay.
noticed.
Okay.
Okay, maybe it like I don't know, mine and your opinions can differ on this, but I feel like people who are born and brought up here are more prone to like fitting in.
Uh-huh.
But people
Right.
who come, they're like, because they've grown up, they're mature, they have mature thinking and all of that. They don't really try to fit in that much. So that's one thing I noticed. Because one of my best, my best friend Amna, she's an international student, right?
Right.
Never seen her like try to fit into the American culture or like wanting to, do what the American kids are doing. Like she never, not only her, I know a lot of other people who never wanted to. But
Right.
people who I know were born here, were brought up here, are more like they are more prone to that side. Like, they want to be like more a part of the American culture.
Right. After Amna watches this, she'll definitely dislike this video. So please don't share it.
No, but it's not a bad thing. I
It's
feel
not a
like
bad
it's a
thing.
really thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think someone should try to fit in, because I think
Yeah.
that's the worst thing you can do when you come to a country and you want to fit in. I think what you should do, the best thing when you want to actually like be a part of something, you shouldn't try at all.
Okay.
Just don't try at all. Just like be yourself and just. I think confidence is the key to everything. You just have to be confident. And then that's it. That's basically it. You don't have to like try to fit into the culture, to the environment, like, because that's what makes you who you are. You can't change that. You have to stay connected to the roots.
Right. Right.
Whether you were
Yeah.
born here, you were born there, you still have to like remember, because you're never going to be like a American,
Yeah.
the aspect of your the ethnicity part is still going to stay there. People are still going to ask you, even if you were born here, they're still going to ask you, oh, where are you from?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like that can never change. So you have to be like embrace who you are. That's gonna sound really cliche, but I mean it. I really mean it when I say that. Don't try to fit in at all. That's like the most uncool thing I see when I see people from Pakistan doing. I just like very cringy. I don't want to see that.
But I'll tell you something. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well, where you mentioned like it's important to hold steadfast to your roots wherever you're from. Like I think it applies the same for me and Fazil. Like no matter where we go, we would still be identified as we would still try to identify ourselves as a Middle Eastern person or a Middle Eastern Indian or something, whatever. Because like we notice there's a huge ocean of difference between Indian Indians and likewise Middle Eastern Indians. I mean, it's not that we're trying to identify ourselves. It's more like in couple of things, right? So yeah, I absolutely do understand that you'd have to hold steadfast to your roots. I remember another person, another previous guest actually mentioned something on the lines that you start from where you ended from the previous culture that you just left, right? So where you mentioned, you shouldn't actually fit in. You shouldn't you shouldn't take too much effort to integrate, but it'll happen on its own. So you hit the nail on that part. So yeah, I'll accept that. But moving on, I had something in mind to ask, which is like the animosity that you could have faced, right? Something on the lines of something on the lines of you saying you're from Pakistan. Say for example, you say you're from Pakistan, and there is obviously certain animosity against people coming from this area. Why? Because out of several uncontrollable reasons, to mention it in the right way. How would you, in case you have gone through it, or in case you think, in case you would go through it sometime in future, how would you think you would respond anything to certain things like that? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I want to say, whenever like someone asked me where I'm from and I say Pakistan, I don't think they know that much about the country, honestly. If you say
Okay.
India, they actually know. They actually know, because I feel like Bollywood and all of that, like people actually know, oh, like how is the Indian culture like. Americans, I feel like they don't really know the history that much between India and Pakistan. मतलब इतनी बहुत extraordinary उनको depth में नहीं पता होती. कि
Yeah,
like,
that's simply because there are a lot of Indians. We we procreate a lot.
I honestly feel because of Bollywood and like the global image India has on the world and all of
could
that.
be.
I think that that has that has played an important role in that. So when we talk about Pakistan, people don't really know that much about Pakistan. They most of the times it's very shocking, but some people do consider it as a Middle Eastern country. A lot of people have done that.
Okay.
Like they
Fair
don't
enough.
know it's not a part. It's not part of the Middle East.
Acha.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it makes sense. It makes sense because it is largely populated by Muslim population.
Yeah,
So
and then the letters, the alphabets looks like
Urdu.
Arabic and all of that. So people
Correct.
think okay, maybe like it's part of the Middle East. But it's actually not very offensive. First of all, when someone says that, oh, like, oh, it's in the Middle East, right? And you're like, no, it's not. But,
Right.
again, they're not aware of that. They're not aware of the situation. So you have to like educate them on that, I guess. But that's one thing that I noticed a lot with Americans and like people who didn't know that much about Pakistan. They always thought it was a country in Middle East somewhere. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, it's next to India, because India and Pakistan have like so much similarities, cultural similarities. I feel that when you're trying to like describe Pakistan, you say, oh, it's like India. It's like
Yeah.
next to India, so it's like India. Yeah.
Yeah.
But people, mostly American people, they see it as like a desert or like an area in the Middle East where like, oh, like how's life like there,
Live in the tents and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's those are the questions I got when I
Ooh.
told them like people when I told people that I wasn't from Pakistan and stuff like that, they would be like, oh, how is life like there, not in a bad way or a good way. It wasn't like it wasn't like a negative thing they were trying to say, but just like a very
Out
neutral
of
question,
concern.
like, oh, how is like how is it like there, because I felt like they didn't know enough about Pakistan.
Okay.
Right.
They
Makes
were
sense.
like very unaware, like, oh, we don't know about it at all, like nothing positive, nothing negative, just
Right.
nothing at all,
Right.
Right. So I think one follow-up question to that, when you mentioned like it is, I think only the Desi people, the only people, only we will be able to relate to this. So the question is, how would you, like I mentioned it prior to the podcast as well, I think when we were in the, like in our cool off time, like I would like to call it, I mentioned something on the lines of like, let's imagine that you are like an ambassador to from Pakistan, and we are like ambassadors from India, where we're trying to like build a bridge around the kind of animosity faced, not trying to say faced, but trying to develop across these two borders. How would you be any different to somebody coming from these areas? They're going to be, let's face it, you might be having to face some animosity with the way people react. Let's say for example, I'm trying to say for example, right? Not everybody is well aware and well thoughtful about the world politics and
It's
all.
an unfair disadvantage. It's an unfair.
Yeah. So how would you be like, how would you say like, okay, I'm from Pakistan. So like, how would you say like, okay, fine. What are the kind of things that you would feel identified with? What are the kind of things that you would feel you would want to explain from your side? Like, say for example, we are from India. So we'd say a lot of things like, there's Bollywood, there's a lot of things like, so I would say, if I think about Pakistan, I think about Coke Studio and, like singers over there. I just
Singers,
think of that.
guzzles, exactly. Right.
Yeah, Sufism and all that, right? So your take on that? Yeah.
Oh, so the first thing I would want to say, like, tell everyone out there, I don't want people to associate stereotype. Like when the term Pakistan comes to your head, it's mostly like, oh, Muslims, the first thing that pops up, but it's actually not. It's actually not. Like in India, there's like a lot of ethnicities, like different people from different backgrounds, people speaking so many different languages. It's like the same thing. It's the same thing. We have like so many provinces. We have different language in every province.
Right.
Like Urdu is not the only language spoken. Punjabi is, okay? Hindi,
Pashto, and
Punjabi,
There's a place called Gujarat as well. Is that a state or is that a place or
yeah, no,
something?
it's not a state, but it's a city in Punjab.
dude,
Acha.
Hyderabad is a city. There's a lot of
Yeah,
cities.
Hyderabad is also a city. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
it's like in Sindh, like
Correct.
right.
Acha.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I would just say that it's when Pakistani comes to your head, it's not only a Muslim. It can be a Christian, it can be a Hindu.
Yeah.
Like we have different religions inhabited in Pakistan, so it's never one, like it shouldn't be the only one religion that come to your head when you think about Pakistan, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big misconception, because even when they're talking about India versus Pakistan or something like that, they're always talking about Hindus versus Muslims, you know?
Absolutely.
Correct.
It's actually
Absolutely.
not. You know, India, I feel like India has more Muslim population than Pakistan, you know?
Correct. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah,
too.
so
Yeah.
exactly. So it's never about Hindu versus Muslim. It's like a different ideology altogether. Pakistani is like, it can be a Hindu Pakistani, it can be Christian Pakistani, like different religions.
Yeah.
Similar to India. Like I can't identify only Hinduism with India because it's not.
Yeah. I can relate to
Okay.
this. I can
Yeah.
relate to this because, funny enough, there are a lot of Pakistanis here in Muscat, as I mentioned, and a lot of Pakistanis are not Muslim Pakistanis. Like the Muslim Pakistanis is not the only Pakistanis you'll meet here. And there was my dad's colleague. There was this Pakistani who was working in my dad's company, and his name was Irfan. Okay? And Irfan is a Muslim name. So we told him, we asked him, we invited him, Ari, you can come on Eid and everything. And he said, yeah, but it's fine and all. Okay, there was a little iffy situation. Okay, and then my dad asked, I don't know if he celebrates Eid and all, like if he ever celebrated Eid and all. And then my mom also asked, Acha, then ask him again and let's confirm the guest list or whatever. And my dad asked, so did you fast today or something? Because before Eid, there's a Ramadan for 30 days. And he said, no, I don't fast. And then we started judging. And then he told me, no, we only celebrate Christmas. That's when we realized that names does not justify where you come from as well. So there were a lot, and his entire group had all Muslim names. There was a name called Allah Datta and all. It literally had the word, and he was a Christian. I'm not kidding. This is true.
Yeah, the thing is, I find this funny because I mean, just the way you mentioned it, they are all Muslim names. They're all Islamic names, but then they're like Muhammad can be a Hindu as well, and these things. I've heard of this.
Could be. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no, that's really true. Because like I've seen a lot of Muslims in America having like, Christian names.
Dude, listen, even Christian names is acceptable. If you say Ibrahim and Abraham, I think I would accept that. I mean, to anglicize their names, they would prefer to fit, like you mentioned, fit in. They would want to anglicize their names completely. But I think when you say Muhammad for a Christian or a Muhammad for a Hindu, it raises eyeballs, right? You'll find it funny genuinely. Like I found it funny for now.
It's funny at first instance. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
we've already transitioned to the zone where we should actually talk about the Indian-Pakistan relations in US especially. So coming from Muscat, at least, there's a lot of cultural mix that happens here, at least, and we've also mentioned this in the introduction video, how I go to Abhinav's house for Diwali or Holi or whatever, and how he comes for because we only have Eid, we only say Eid, but you were saying something, Aleena?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember you telling us in UB about this situation, like this incident,
right?
Where like you went to Abhinav's house for Diwali or something like that, and he went to yours for Eid. Yeah, he used to mention this. Yeah, but he never took your name, but he said, I have a friend, and we, and I was like, oh yeah, that's really nice.
Achha, there are a lot of friends, but okay.
Very sweet of you, Fazal. Now I'm gonna judge you from now onwards, man. Fazal.
Now 2 more seasons are booked with you. It's like that. But
anyway,
but there's a complete different scenario if you go to the more you go to the west. I feel like there's a more mix that happens, and people consider themselves more as Asians than considering India versus Pakistan, something like that. And when I personally went to US, I felt Indian. There was an Indian versus Indian rather than India versus Pakistan, and there was India with Pakistan. So a little reflection on that. How you found that amusing, or something? Kya, "Arey, this is great," or "this could not be good in the future," or something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I say that we don't have differences at all, I would be wrong on that. I mean, we do have differences, okay? And we have to accept it that we do. But when I say that we do have differences, I mean, like, we acknowledging the fact that we have differences and then accepting it as well, you know?
Right.
That's something that makes us us. Our differences are what makes us different, okay?
Right.
That's very, like, general, but, like, you get the point.
Yeah.
But what I mean by that is, like, accepting those differences, I mean, it's totally fine to coexist. It's totally fine to have those differences. And that's something that people need to understand, really.
Right. But
You
but for
know?
the audience who does not know, the differences are usually catered towards the political differences. There's
Yeah.
really no cultural difference.
Not really. Yeah, no.
I meet a Pakistani, I meet an Indian. For me, it's almost the same thing until they actually tell me I'm from Pakistan. Until they start speaking Urdu.
Yeah, the
If they start
language,
speaking Urdu, that's when I realize कि यार ये थोड़ा.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, Aleena
Yeah.
was actually from Pakistan when I first saw her. But when I asked her, "Do you know this person?" And she's like, yeah, she's from so and so place, and etc. etc. Yeah. But that's how we are perceived, even in West. I feel like we are perceived as one Asian community. It's like all
Yeah.
India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, सब एक group में आते हैं, and then
Yeah, do that. Yeah, I agree.
right. So how was it for you when you saw that this was a thing that happens a lot common in US than it would happen in India or Pakistan itself? The cultural mix, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually wasn't shocked by it because I was actually expecting it to happen.
Acha.
Yeah, I was actually because when I came here, I said, like, in high school, I'd never met any Indians or anything like that. I just had Pakistanis in my high school, and then just regular, like, American people, but not Indians in general. There were Bengalis though, and that's when I realized that Bengalis, Pakistani, they can't really tell, the difference. People really think, like, regard us, like, as a same community, coming from the same community, the same background and everything, and, like, a lot of Bengalis speak the same language. They understand Hindi.
Yeah.
So if that was something, I was like, oh, okay, like, this is new. I did not expect this to happen. But then when I came to UB, I was, like, kind of prepared at the back of my head. I was like, yeah, people can mistake you for, like, an Indian. They can mistake an Indian for a Pakistani because they can't really, like, physical appearance wise, they can't really tell, honestly.
Right.
Right? So yeah, so I was kind of prepared for that, and I saw it happen a couple of times in front of me. Even Amna, when I met her, I thought she was from India.
Amna is the spotlight of the show. We'll have to call her next episode, I feel.
The first time I met her, I thought she was, like, from India, and then she told me she was from Islamabad, and I was like, what? Like, I did not expect that. I was shocked. I was like, how did I not recognize a Pakistani? Like, this is so not me,
Right.
But that happened to me as well, and then. Yeah, it was pretty, like, it was very normal.
Anyway, moving on, I think now that I've noticed that you're a very endearing person, and then I've come to know from Fazal that you're a very expressive person with the opinions that you give on Instagram. Right. It comes in the way of you trying to make friends. Let's try to assume that. Right.
Okay.
Try to assume that, where it comes in the way you express your opinion. Say, for example, there's one small thing which me and Fazal may not. We know what we don't disagree with, and he respects it, and I respect it. Right. Now, coming across as being that mutually intelligible, like you're able to understand each other's opinions and respect each other at the same time, that does not occur with each and every follower of yours or something on Instagram.
Yeah,
right.
obviously.
And while at the same time you're trying to maintain a decent friend, close circle of friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your take on that, as in, I think perhaps it could be something very interesting, and it would be very helpful to the way we scale our podcast up, because there could be a possibility where we express some opinion and we would want to be respectfully denied rather than just straight up criticized about. You get it?
Yeah, I get it.
And I think
Yeah.
Aleena is just about the right person to balance it well in both the diagrams, and, like, the Venn diagram.
To put it in the right spirit, just in frame up the entire question in one word, it would be like the diplomacy of how to
I get it.
tackle all the things. Yeah.
No, when I say that I would agree with this. I'm very vocal on social media with like everything. I'm really very vocal, and a lot of people think that puts them in a very uncomfortable situation, with their followers, with their friends and people they know. They think, oh, like they're not.
I'd like to elaborate. What are these opinions targeted at? Political opinions or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's elaborate on that. Like,
mostly political opinions. Political opinions, and not only related to Pakistani politics.
Okay.
Also like the US politics or like international, world affairs and all of that. Something that really concerns me. Or then like even if it's like about basic human rights, I am very vocal about it, and then I'm vocal to the point where I don't really care when I'm putting out my opinion like that. I don't really care how that's going to affect my friendships, because I'm never that disrespectful. First of all, when I'm like talking about something online, I'm never like disrespectful or abusive or anything like that. But if it's like basic violation of human rights going on somewhere, and I don't, so I feel like it's important to talk about it because, when Black Lives Matter happened, right, the movement started, everything like that, everyone was so quick to post about it on the social media. And they were like, oh, and it was as if it's a trend and now it's trending. So everyone's just doing it for the sake of it, And I don't really agree with that because I feel like it shouldn't be like that. It's trending, so like everyone's gonna do it now, and then once it stops, it's gonna be a complete silence. I don't do that. You know what I mean?
It's trending to a level. It's trending to a level that if a celebrity talks about it, they won't judge it now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I just feel that's just so not right. That's not right on so many levels. When there's like a basic violation of human rights going on and you try to see it in a way that, it's like a trend now. On Tuesday, everyone was posting a black tile on their Instagram for the BLM support, and then I know some people who deleted it later.
Okay.
I was like, why did you post it in the first place then? You know what I mean? That's as if you don't even care about the issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't really care when I say something, I actually mean it when I say it on Instagram, and I don't really care if people don't agree with that. I'm open to discussions. If they don't, they can message me and I can like have a talk on that. We can agree to disagree at least, Wow. And
I'll cut you over here with one opinion. The thing is, the majority of the audience would not be able to relate with. See, I know that you're a New Yorker right now, and over there, I'm remotely aware, if not with the way the news trends are, and I'm aware that the racism over there exists firsthand. You see it firsthand. I understand that. Where there is like visible hatred or whatever, xenophobia, and all those pronouns, and all those adjectives, whatever you use, right? Yeah. The point what I'm trying to make is, you trying to explain a lot of it in front of a lot of your white friends is the kind of, I think, to sum it up, I'm trying to a little more define the kind of opinions that you're trying to give in front of all your Instagram audience, while at the same time trying to be diplomatic. I think you should be. I wanted you to elaborate a little more on that, because like we don't know a lot of the opinions that exist over there, but which should be more global.
Should be spoken about.
I know.
It should be spoken about. Right?
I'm going to start by saying there were like a few issues that I posted about as an example. Okay. I posted about something on Instagram, and a lot of Americans were not aware of that because it was a global issue. Unless it's an American issue, like they don't really care. Unless it's an American issue. But if it's like a global issue, they don't really know that much about it. They don't really care about it, So there were people, when I posted about stuff, I posted about Palestine, I posted about stuff like that. And people actually asked me, like, what is going on, What's all this about? Or like, why are you guys saying this? Like, shouldn't Israel also have a right to exist and all of that? I don't want to take sides here, but I'm just like trying to make a point here that people don't really know. And I feel like social media in that terms is a very great, a great platform to put stuff like that, so that people who don't know about it, who aren't aware, can ask you questions and you can answer them if they don't know, and that's completely fine,
Absolutely.
But there were also people who disagreed with it, who disagreed
Yeah.
on
With the
levels with it.
opinions. Yeah.
And they came at me and they were like, why are you saying this? Like, it's not like, this shouldn't be like that and all of that. And I tried to be as respectful as possible and like try to explain them where I was coming from, in my perspective. And they also tried to explain where they were coming from, because obviously it's a one-sided story if you listen to one side, and then it's a different side altogether if you're listening to other side, right? Even unfollowed me after that, without even having a conversation. And I was totally fine with it, because that there are some things which you can't agree on, and you can't
Correct.
please everyone around you,
Yeah.
You really can't please everyone around you.
justify.
So sometimes you just have to stick to what you feel is right and like your reasons for it,
Right. Absolutely.
So that's how and then for my like my friends, my close friends, my circle, as far as they're concerned, we have that in us. We have that tolerant bone in us that we can, talk and establish a medium ground, a ground where we all can, like a neutral ground,
Right. Right.
so that there's no like bias or anything, and then
Don't
you just
judge you
come in.
based on your opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanna quickly add one thing here. I wanna say there were people who didn't even care, who were just neutral, didn't know about anything, and didn't want to get into it.
Okay.
There were people like that as well, and like they're still like in my followers, but they don't really care. They're like, yeah, we're whatever. Like, we just care about America. We don't care about the rest of the world, so we're fine.
Right,
So there are people like that, but I feel like some people like really told me like, oh, you shouldn't be like that vocal about it on social media. You have to be very politically correct and diplomatic. And like, there were people who actually told me that. But I just feel, I know, okay, I get it where they're coming from. Everyone has like a different approach to problems. But I feel like now social media, people may or may not think it makes a difference. But to me, I feel like it does. And it's something that you can use to make people aware of something they're not. Right. And then when you're talking about, social media, like if you post on social media, doesn't really matter. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. I've seen governments take action because of social media, because people so strong nowadays. The network is like so strong that governments are actually taking action because people are protesting, coming out because of something they saw on social media,
Right.
So I think it plays a part. I think it does play a part. And then we should try to do whatever we can.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my approach to that.
I'll add one point over here when you mentioned, like, you had one last thing to mention. You had one last thing to elaborate, where social media is a powerful tool. You should, where we can try to educate a lot of ignorant masses out there about trying to educate political opinions and try to at least educate the way it's garnered, which me and Fazal haven't been told much about. Okay.
Absolutely.
Which we haven't been told. Okay, we haven't been taught that. Okay, social media is a powerful tool where you have to use to garner political opinion, which is a very American thing. If you get it, if I would assume I would very much like to say right off that it's a very American thing. It's a very
so far
Western thing.
Yeah.
At least so far, it's been a very Western thing. Like for example, global warming. It started off over there, but when it comes to a lot of political opinions, trying to garner the right support for it, we haven't been well educated on it, and it'll take a while for us to even digest it.
Yeah.
So
could be.
A lot of the things which you mentioned were like went off flight mode for us. So like at least I'm sure I can speak for Fazal over here. Because we will be very much willing to view it, but not necessarily comment on it, because it's not something we have been encouraged to do so far yet.
Yeah.
Is this something I just wanted to mention? It's not relevant, but yeah.
I think a lot of people fall in that demographic where they feel not comfortable enough to pick any side of the opinion.
It's better. Yeah. It's better. It's more like it's better safe than sorry kind of situation. So people might be like, you're not. It takes a lot of bravery and a lot of courage to garner opinions and try to, comment. Try to think of that. It comes at a cost of some couple of your friends who might be thinking, okay, this is a little going out of hand. we cannot associate our friendship with this person. So it could
Right.
have been possible.
After the brief discussion of the Instagram, let's move on to a complete different topic. So first of all, congratulations to Aleena, because recently she has achieved the vice president chair at the Pakistan Student Association at UB. So congratulations, first of all.
Thank
And
you.
now getting into that zone as from next semester on, what is your take, and how are you going to perceive this position for yourself, and how would it bring change to your personality, if at all it would?
Okay. So did you mention vice president? Like which organization is it?
Yeah, I did. Wasn't I?
It's
said
Pakistani Student Association.
I did say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
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 Okay, I'll say it again. Congratulations, Aleena Tayyab, for achieving the vice president chair at the Pakistan Student Association at University at Buffalo, located in Buffalo, New York, USA. Is this better now?
That sounds like an advertisement, but okay, Fazal, we'll take that. Okay. About the vice president, it's basically like a student organization. It's not necessarily for Pakistanis. Anyone can be a part of it. There's no like restriction on only Pakistanis can attend this event.
Right.
It's basically everyone who wants to know about Pakistani culture and like just Pakistani traditions and stuff like that. The festivals we have in Pakistan, which people don't really know about, a lot of them. It's basically a forum for that, where people who don't know and want to learn more can come and join us. And then also Pakistanis who are from Pakistan as international students, or even like Pakistanis here in the US, want to connect with other Pakistanis, they can come join and have a good time. It's
Right.
nothing very like serious or anything like that, but it's like a great platform to interact and communicate and be social and like
Right.
have fun, like every college life should be, which we didn't experience in 2020, but we can experience hopefully.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically all of that. And then we were thinking about, because usually, and also when you were talking about interpersonal relationships between India and Pakistan, right, outside, I would say PSA, Pakistani Student Association, and ISA, which is the Indian Student Association, work closely together.
They
in,
work
like,
only
many
together,
events.
basically.
Yeah, in like so many events. Like they performed in International Fiesta together as like one team.
Yeah, and we won some position, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, second. It was the second position. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like they shared the trophy, and it was like very like heartwarming kind of a situation, and
Right.
everyone was like, "Oh, like India and Pakistan together," So that's one example that I would like to mention too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like all of the people who were picking their universities from next year onwards will now choose UB because they just have to be a part of this social student association or whatever, or to meet Aleena and
No,
Jacob.
I'm telling you, we'll have great events. So
Yeah,
be
yeah.
ready, mister.
This is pure advertisement from a student association. This is
Shameless advertisement.
no
I like the
filtered-
way she uses marketing.
hashtag no filtered advertisement. Something like
No, but isn't this interview supposed to be raw?
that. Nothing.
Yeah, we would totally appreciate monetary help for our further season 3 or something
Yes.
from Pakistan Student Association.
Yeah, because imagine if you get a
guys are very
sponsorship from a
kind.
Pakistan Student Association. That would be amazing. But
हमें तो sponsorship मिल जाए पहले, तुम बाद में ले लेना.
but what is okay before we end the podcast, and quick 40 minutes have passed just like that, but what is the one takeaway that you would like to give a lot of students who come to the West or come to US in general, because I know that you have a lot of friends from different backgrounds. One of your close friends is also an Indian. You have Pakistani friend, you have American friend, you have a lot of friends, right? So considering all of that, a person coming.
I like how Fazal just named himself in the between.
No, I didn't name myself. I'm not the
There
close
is
friend.
a different one. He was talking about a different person, and we both know who he's talking about.
I've not yet qualified to be in the close friend list of neither on Instagram nor in personal life. You've made some great points today, and I think we spoke. Okay, shouldn't I say this? I think I should say this.
I'm looking at Abhinav's expressions, and I feel like Really?
Abhinav enjoyed thoroughly. That's his expression when he enjoys an episode thoroughly. Okay, so now you know when an episode goes good, that expression is common.
Now the
But-
audience knows.
Yeah, but we'll cut this, nah. Come on. But thank you for coming. You've made some beautiful points on the various different topics, relations to posting on Instagram, to meeting different people and socializing in general. So thank you from my side personally for coming on this podcast and trying to speak about this. It takes a lot of courage to even speak out, stuff like this.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you guys found me worthy enough for this podcast because I never did it.
More than worthy enough. Worthy is,
Thank you so much.
You hit the nail on a couple of the opinions, like, expressing political opinions while finding a middle ground, which is like, trying to educate an ignorant audience out there, which is like half the population of America. Let's admit that.
Yeah.
Trying to educate. Like, I'm not trying to throw shade or diss at US or something, but then it's just that I don't know. At least for me personally, it's the way I've viewed that place is more like people are a little more ignorant. They feel like it's a very American thing to say that, we only care about US. When you mentioned, like, you were able to sum it up in a very, very, very well phrased answer, where you mentioned like political opinions in a place like America, it's like completely unsaid of. People don't really think about it much.
Yeah.
When you're trying to educate the bigger part of the audience that, this is that, people take a lot of shade they'll throw a lot of shade by even saying, okay, dude, why do you have to care? Right. So why do you have to care altogether? You shouldn't want to do that. Just eat your normal bread and butter and just finish it off. Like, right. People just think of that way. Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of those points very well, and I think I want to thank you for that. I indeed perhaps like got a lot of tangible advice from you when you mentioned good taste of America, as in that was something which we are trying to
even we ourselves few of the things we're unaware about. I think
it feels like American dream is a very, very, very glamorous thing, but it's not so as much. You go there,
especially like a person coming from a different country, a minority who wasn't born here. It's very different and very difficult also. People think, even in Pakistan, people might think, Pakistanis, they are like a very different creature altogether,
I think I've been saying thank you for the past 10 minutes, and the conversation we had is...
Look, now you see how I enjoyed this conversation so much.
Did you enjoy it, or are you just happy to leave the show? Is that...
No. Now you... अच्छा, तुम कह रहे हो पहले छोड़ के जाना नहीं चाहिए.
But okay. But thank you again. Genuinely, thanks for coming, and thanks for being such a sport today. And hopefully we'll catch you soon again.